LRTN. We have a live interview today with Philadelphia Mayor candidate Jeff Brown. Hi, Jeff Brown.
Hello. Good morning.
Good. And we also have Bobby Crawford from the Liberian Radio and Television Network with us today.
And pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Same.
We're excited to have an interesting conversation with the mayor hopeful, Jeff Brown. So Jeff Brown, this is the Liberian Radio and Television Network, and our audience is the African community in Philadelphia and the United States. Can you tell us, who is Jeff Brown?
So I'm a guy who grew up in Philadelphia in the Northeast, and a big part of my upbringing is my family were immigrants from Eastern Europe. And when they came here, they couldn't get a job. They opened a little bodega. And the time I was 8 years old, my dad had a store in West Philly at 40th and Girard. And he would take me as a young boy to learn the business. And that's had a big imprint on me. That's a big part of who I am. And I also married to Sandy for a long time, 34 years. And we have 4 sons.
Nice. So as you can see, Jeff is a family man, and he tells us a little about his family, how he started. So Jeff, we have another question for you. So many Africans in the community feel disconnected with our leaders, whether it's the mayor, city council, what have you. As an incoming mayor, when you do become a mayor, what are the things you're going to do to stay connected with the African community?
Well, what's interesting is, and I may be the only candidate that has this long relationship with the African community, especially Western African community, because many years ago I met Vofi from Akana and also Eric from Funtime magazine, and I communicate with them regularly. And matter of fact, Vofi came to my store in Island in Lindbergh in Southwest Philly, where you have a lot of Africans live there, and he coached me and taught me African cuisine, and we brought in fufu flour, and we brought in hard chickens and cassava leaf. And so he taught me about African food and culture, which is what I've done in my business. In my business, I like to learn about people's culture and religion, what they celebrate, what they eat. And then I customize the store and befriend the community, and we help each other. And we've been doing that for over 25 years in the African community, working with them, employing them, getting involved in philanthropic activities. So the advantage we have here is I'm already very familiar with the Western African people in Philadelphia, and I look forward for them to have an important seat at the table, because there's many that live here in Philadelphia. And I think it's important. Everybody here is immigrants. My family was an immigrant too. It's just a matter when you came. And I think what makes Philadelphia special is that we're open to many people, and we're a melting pot, a very diverse melting pot, and it's very interesting to me. And I look forward to working with the African community when I'm mayor.
Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to pivot a little bit to gun violence in the city. This is something that's well documented. I mean, watch the news, it's everywhere. And just real quickly, the city has a population of just under 20,000. And in 2002, the city was ranked 162% higher than the national average when it comes to gun violence. And on your website, you mentioned equity. How would equity address the issue of gun violence in the city of Philadelphia?
Yeah, so what you've seen in the last several years, there's been a lot of questions about how the police do their work and whether it's fair to people of color. And so we have two challenges that we're balancing. How do we offer good police service to every citizen that's fair, treat them all fairly? And then how do we protect people from gun violence and homicide? And I think the two have to go together, and they can. We can do both things. But in the experimentation with making a fairer system, try to move away from mass incarceration, which has affected many people in Philadelphia. Some cases we may have gone too far in the reforms and caused a gun violence problem. And so to me, the answer to this problem, one is we need a visible police on the streets to protect us. And over the last several years, we lost like 1,500 officers, or 25% of the force. The part of the force that's in the neighborhoods. The people with desk jobs, they're fine. They didn't leave. And so we need to rehire them. And this is a historic opportunity to diversify the police. And people in the African community should consider this opportunity, because in my mind, people should police their own neighborhood. The diversity of every department should be similar to the diversity of the city. So you understand as an organization how people view things, how they do things, how they celebrate. And if you're policing your own neighborhood, you can tell if a young person is just playing around and means no ill will, or if they mean to hurt someone, because you're from the neighborhood, you know. And that's the kind of police we need. They will both be fair, understand their role to protect and serve people, and remember the service part. They're there, they work for us. They're there to serve us, protect us. And sometimes I think the police come in too hot. Like we need to de-escalate a problem, but they're raising tensions.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a training problem. In my stores, our loss prevention staff, we teach them first and foremost customer service and de-escalation. Even though, yes, someone was stealing from us, but we still don't want a violent incident. We want to calm things down and just deal with the problem at hand. And we want to leave that incident with no one hurt. And I think the police have to try to take that same kind of philosophy. And that will help them, because they're the ones that could get hurt too. And so I think that's a tool that will help them, and the diversity will help them. People who understand the people they're policing. That will be a big benefit. And the other thing is, I think everything we do today has to do with technology. We make everything more efficient, and we have a better outcome with technology. And this city is underinvested in the popular technology. For example,
that's a good point,
you were going to ask about that?
No. I said that's a good point.
So I'm going to give you an example. Let me start out by saying most Philadelphians are not violent. We have 1.5 to 1.6 million Philadelphians. Most of them have no criminal records, they have no violence. There's about 1,700 Philadelphians that have repeatedly committed violent acts. And the problem we're having is that they probably belong in jail. And we have to help them in jail to change their mindset so they don't act like they in a violent way. And to get them in jail, you need to prosecute them, and you need evidence in our system. And so forensics is a way to get evidence, and we have a problem with forensics where we don't have the right equipment or building or people to do it right. So we need investment in that. And the second is cameras. You could have a gunshot camera. If they hear a gunshot, the camera could swing around and video the incident. And we better prosecute the perpetrator if we have a video of the incident. Every violent community intersection should have this kind of technology. We should record it. We should be watching it. Because if we got the 1,700 people off the street, you would see gun violence would drop dramatically. That's what I think we need to do. And the only other thing is, I'm going to mention this because, I have 4 sons. And my wife and I, when we raised our sons, my wife told me, you keep these sons busy. If they're busy, they won't get in trouble. But when you live in a big city and some people live in poverty, they need help keeping their children busy, learning and playing. And we have underinvested, like you hear a story, no lifeguards for the pools. Or the rec center's closed, or the library's not open on the weekends. Those are all tools to keep our children busy. And the citizens need us to be with them to have those tools available. And that would help a child not be on the corner getting into trouble, but in the library learning. You know what I'm saying? And we had to be cognizant of that. I think we made mistakes.
You already know Philadelphia is the first ever Africa town is coming to Philadelphia, which is exciting. As mayor, what are things that you're going to do to push that initiative?
So I was at the groundbreaking, and it was very exciting. And the reason I was excited, well, one is I have a long history with the Africans in Philadelphia, and I was excited for them. And the second reason I was excited is that what makes Philadelphia interesting is its diversity. I don't know if you're aware of this, but people pick Philadelphia as a destination for their trade shows and for their travel because of the diversity. The diversity of food, the diversity of art. These are interesting to world travelers, interesting because we're such a diverse city. And, like they go to Chinatown to experience Asian culture, this now could be a cultural attraction to learn about Western African culture. And I think that's very exciting. And you start out with the building, but that's just a start. I think that whole area should be developed, and I could envision the food, the art, the culture, and having many things to experience. Western African culture would be very exciting to me.
As you know, Southwest Philadelphia has the largest African population in Philadelphia. And most of the African population there are business owners, small business owner. As a champion of small business and entrepreneurship, what are your plans to continue in that path to help our Africans in those areas to continue their small businesses and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I am an entrepreneur, and my family has a long legacy of small business. And of course, our business got bigger, but I don't forget about small business and entrepreneurs. And we have done a number of things to try to help. And I have to establish the importance of this.
Right.
This country is one of the most successful countries in the world because of our system of entrepreneurship, the free enterprise system. You could come to this country and you could start with nothing, and you could build a business. You could create a generational wealth for your family, and while you're doing it, you could hire people from your neighborhood and help them also escape poverty. And so when you're looking at the poorest big city in the country, we have to ask ourselves, how did we get here? How did we become the largest, poorest big city in the country? And one of the things that's broken is that we have made it difficult for small businesses. And because we made it difficult, we hurt ourselves, because we didn't have that wealth generation, the job generation that we need to take people out of poverty. And so as a business person, I was very interested in helping change that. And I've done a number of things. So one thing is, when the pandemic hit, a lot of Western African businesses were not getting PPP or other relief from the government.
PPQ loan, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, because what the government failed to understand, when you have a very small business, you don't operate like a big business. And the government didn't understand that at first, but I did. And we started the PA 30-Day Fund, and we raised $4 million, and we gave out 1,200 grants to small businesses of color, women-owned businesses, primarily small Philadelphia businesses. And so a lot of the businesses, I called them myself because we didn't have staff, and I built a rapport with them. We gave them a check to help them, to keep them in business. But beyond that, a lot of them asked that I would mentor them and or sell their products in our stores. And as you know, we have a lot of Western African products in our stores.
Right.
So it became so big, we decided to make a small business incubator.
Okay.
And you could go to our incubator at brownchefsmarket.com, and it says Small Business Incubator. You could go and you could apply for a session.
Okay.
And then you could come meet with experts. And we don't charge anything. We don't take a piece of your business. We just help. And you meet
That's good.
Yeah, because most people want a piece of your business.
Yeah.
I'm doing it because I think for us to be a successful city, entrepreneurship is part of the answer. And we have 300 or 400 small businesses of color we incubated since we've done this. And you see them in our stores. When you go in the entrance, you see someone at the entrance sampling their products.
Right.
That's a small business incubator person. And Africans have taken advantage of this. And there have been a lot of small business, almost all of them are of color, but a lot have been Africans too. Because they're entrepreneurial and they have business ideas, they want to start their business. So you translate that to the government. A business shouldn't have to do this, the government should do this.
Right.
The government should have technical assistance to help small businesses, and the government should have equity financing to incubate and start small businesses, because that's how we're going to get out of our poverty situation.
Yeah, just real quickly, but on your website you mentioned equity being a critical issue. So how would equity tie into solving those problems that I just alluded to?
Well, when you look at, if you look at academic outcome by race, people of color are not doing it anywhere near as well as others.
Okay.
And so when I'm talking about equity, I'm saying that when you look at people that aren't doing well, are we creating what they need to help them do well?
Okay.
And so I don't think we are. And I don't know if it's related to race or if it's just a historic system that needs a reimagination, a rethinking of how are we going to do this. Because I believe if your child ended up being an electrician, maybe they make $150,000 a year. Their child may go to college and be an electrical engineer. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it takes a couple generations to get to the point where you're achieving everything you can achieve. It's not instant. Sometimes someone's so smart it can be, but most of the times it's not instant. Even my family, my grandfather never graduated high school. He came here with a quarter in his pocket. My father graduated high school but didn't graduate college. I graduated college. It took us 3 generations to have a graduate. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. It takes time. If you live in poverty, it's very challenging to do the academics. And so I think we have to be sensitive to that. And the way you have a fair system is you help the young person get what they need to be the best version of themselves, to make a good living for their family.
Absolutely.
That's what we should be doing. And we need to reimagine our physical plants in the schools because they're old, they have asbestos, they have leaky roofs, they have old boilers, and they're half full. And a half-empty building wastes money. And if you look at our school district and compare it to other school districts, the biggest problem we have is half-empty buildings and old buildings because they waste money.
It's not conducive for learning.
It's not conducive for learning, and it costs money. So you have to heat twice as much space as you need with an old boiler that already is inefficient. And so for the children's sake, because we close some days because it's too hot, we don't have air conditioning, or too cold. We close days because we have to repair schools that are too old, they're 100 years old. And so we need a long-term plan to replace all of the bad schools. And we're at a historic moment that in the state of Pennsylvania, the courts determined that the way we fund schools is not equitable. And that more money needs to go to poor districts like Philadelphia. And so we have a historic opportunity to get more operating dollars, which will help pay for our costs. But we also have a historic opportunity to get more capital dollars, the kind of resources that you could knock down your old school and build a new school. Maybe you could build it with the capacity to teach people to be an auto mechanic or a welder or a truck driver or an electrician. Because that's what is in demand.
Those are vocational skills I can help.
That would be my vision for reforming education.
What can we do as a network?
Thank you. I appreciate that question. I think, first of all, in America, a democracy, the politicians pay attention to the people that vote. If you don't vote, you're invisible to the politicians. And so in the African community, I ask them to register to vote and vote. The vote makes a big difference. They know, they have computers, they know who voted. If Africatown and Southwest, if they have a huge increase in votes, you'll see how they will all pay attention to you and all be very interested. I'm already interested, I know that. But when the people that are running see Jeff Brown won the election because Southwest Philadelphia came out twice as much as last time, that will send a message to them, Africans matter. And you better pay attention, you better learn. You know what I mean? So that would be the first thing. And the second thing is, I do think we're all need to be invested in the change we need. This city is in bad shape. It's the worst I've seen it in my lifetime. And I'm willing to stop everything I'm doing to try to lead this change. And I would like every community to be with me. And I think if you're with someone, a small investment formalizes the commitment. And you could go to jeffbrownformayor.com and you could contribute $5, $10, and be with me. You could take one of my lawn signs and put it on your lawn to tell people you're with me. I think that's important because the politicians, not me, the whole rest of them pay attention to these things. And then if they lose, and they are going to lose because I'm going to win, they're going to say, how did Jeff Brown, he's never been in politics, how did he beat us? We keep on saying we have this experience, we lost, because they didn't listen to people. And that you voting sends them the message, listen to me, I matter.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Before we go today, can you tell our audience 3 reasons why the Africans in Philadelphia should vote for Jeff Brown as the next mayor?
Well, he likes fufu now in this case.
Well, the first thing is the city is in a bad way. the homicides, the drug overdoses, just the filth everywhere. Especially Southwest Philly, people dump there, there's trash everywhere. The visible signs is we're in a downward spiral, and the existing political establishment, they were the leaders that neglected us and got us there. And so what we normally would do, we would stick with them. People that were in council, we would reelect them. We can't do that because we can't do another 8 years like this. And I think I represent the most substantial change, because in my career, the things I've changed were things that everyone said you could not change. Like you couldn't have stores in food deserts. Returning citizens could not have a job. There's no way to do it. You couldn't clear people's records after they turn their lives around. And small businesses, they can't be successful. And we've proven we could help people do all of those things. So I am the change that we need, and I will be relentless on the changes we need. I won't stop. I will stick with it. I'm committed to do this for the 8 years, two 4-year terms, and I'm the change we need. That's the first thing. The second thing is it's the problem solving, because we have severe problems that are complex. And in the work I've done in the government, like I'm chairman of the State Workforce Board, I was chairman of Philadelphia Youth Network, which is a youth work, right, PYN. I was chairman for many years.
Wow.
And I have worked with hundreds of thousands of people and helped them out of poverty. This problem we have is a poverty problem. If we don't help people out of poverty, we're not getting anywhere. Because gun violence and every other problem we have is related to too much poverty.
It's tied with poverty. Yep.
And I'm the only one that has taken people in mass numbers out of poverty. No, everyone else, they hardly mention it. Because they don't know anything. They may have lived in poverty, but they never helped another human being out of poverty.
Well, and it is important to note you employ what 2,300,
Yeah, I employed 2,300 people, and I've hired 60,000 people in my career and helped them out of poverty. I'm chairman of the State Workforce Board and helped thousands, hundreds of thousands of people out of poverty. That experience is very important. If someone says I have no experience, they don't know the job description. The job description to me is take people out of poverty.
Yeah.
Then everything will function properly.
Absolutely.
If you do that. And so I think those are the two most important reasons, and I'm going to leave one thing about the African community. I chose to be with the African community. I built a store there, I renovated it, I learned about the culture, I spent time with many people in the African community. I built long-lasting friendships, and the African community matters to me. If you go in my store, you'll see that when you see Kasaba Leaf and Fupa.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the interview. I
It's been a
appreciate both
pleasure.
of you.
Thank you so much.